Hey everyone, Corey here coming in to do the year-end energy update for the last two signs. And I am so sorry that you are the last ones getting this, but I've done them in order and it's all about timing. It's all about waiting for the message. And I didn't have the message. I did not have the message for Aquarius and for Pisces. So for both Aquarius and Pisces, you are in for some big drastic change energy. And it doesn't mean your whole life is changing. It just means there's a shift that's happening in the energy that may even change your perspective, change your mind, or it may change your whole life, whatever that may be. So this is for Aquarius. Now, remember, this does not replace any medical psychological advice. This is a collective energy. It's me reading the energy of the Aquarius energy as it's moving through this year. And so the first thing that really truly popped up and out was intuition. Trust your intuition. That there's going to be moments and times in this end of the month where, or this end of the year, where you have to really, really, truly step into the power of being able to fully trust what you are feeling, your intuition, get to that a higher place out of your emotions sometimes, rise up out of that lower vibrating frequency of that kind of creates our stories, this environment that you live in, and really look at the bigger picture. What is the bigger picture? What does this teach me? What am I learning? What am I experiencing from this? And so for many of my Aquarian energies, I feel like it's almost like chasing something instead of allowing something to unfold, chasing something. And what I'm getting with chasing something is sometimes we chase the stars, right? We chase what we think is going to make us somebody or bring us into a bigger life. And so we're always looking for something outside of ourselves. Aquarians, you are the bigger life. You are the bigger picture. There is a deep resolve or healing energy that's also coming up in this Aquarian energy. So for some of my Aquarius people who have been really struggling, really going through big transitions, big changes, and I just feel like there's a real highlight on addictive patterns and behaviors or isms that you keep relying on or going to. And there is a almost like a sense of recovery or awakening. That's the words that I'm getting. So it's like a recovery or awakening, realizing you don't need to be dependent upon something. There is like this dependency and feeling as if you need to be dependent upon something, and you're being told that there's enough power and energy in you to be and through you to be able to depend upon the self. And so there is great healing, great transitions and transformations that are happening. Do they always feel great? No. Will they always feel great as you move in? And I feel like this even follows into the beginning of the year. It takes a lot, right? It just feels like sometimes that transition feels like it takes a lot. It takes a lot of time. Some of my Aquariuses, I do feel like you may find yourself moving in the midst of winter, that you may find yourself having to pack up, move to a new home, move to a new house, finding that new, and it could be something exciting. It could feel stressful, but it could be something that is a real breath of fresh air, something that allows you to feel the essence of your truth. You may even be someone who kind of comes into the money to kind of get the house of your dreams or have the house of your dreams, the things that you really want, you're really looking forward to. And also I'm feeling the sense of being able to be at events, like being able to go to either if it's concerts that you wanted to go to, or if you're some sort of speaker, or if you're some person who works in spirituality, you may be starting to do like more trade shows. If you're someone who's kind of been hiding in the closet, what they're telling me is you're coming out of the closet. And coming out of the closet is vulnerable. It feels vulnerable. There's a level of vulnerability to it. But it's a time of where you cannot be passive and expect changes to happen. It has to be stepping fully up and embodying that greatest fear. Embody your greatest fear, embody the greatest fear, and let it and let yourself burst through it. So there is some sort of breakthrough, some sort of breaking through your greatest fears, those greatest fears that hold you back, that bind you, that keeps you in specific things. I feel as if they are moving, they are shifting. There's a big change that is taking place. And this could be metaphorically, it can be physical, but it's doing this. And all I keep seeing is like this, like molding clay, like something is being moved and molded and put into position and then planked over here. And so there is this going from here to there. And it could be work. It could be also moving into a relationship. It could be, molding, finding that perfect relationship, that perfect job, that perfect person for you. That could also be coming up. But it's where, you just can't sit back and say, oh, I'm just going to sit here and everything is going to find me. No, everything is not going to find you by hiding away. Aquarius, you can no longer hide from your truth. You have to move into your light. And it's as hard as that could be. It's like, well, I'm already in my light. There's one thing to be content and complacent, and there's the other one to be content and satisfied and knowing that you've done the work, but there's a life still to be lived. There's a difference. So you have to get out there and start to live your life, whatever that may be for you. It's like, it's time to live. It's time to come to life, not to be forgotten, right? It's a sense of you're forgetting these pieces and parts of yourself that are such an important part of yourself. They're not to be forgotten. They're not to be left out. You're here to rise up and into there. And I just feel like you're always waiting for one more sense of validation, one more proof. Give me the proof. Give me, when this falls into place, I will do that. Well, what if you need to do that and then this will fall into place? If you keep waiting for something to fall into place, and that's all you're doing, you're not moving forward. It's no choice is a choice, right? Is that what if you move into this environment or into this decision, and then this over here that you're waiting for can take place, can happen. It can't happen if you're not an active participant in all areas of your life. It's one thing to be active in one area, but it's also the sense of feeling like it's time to move beyond playing it safe. It's like, oh, I want to play it safe. I want to be liked by everyone. I want to have this group. I want to have that group. Who are you and what do you bring to the table? That's what you have to remember, Aquarius. Who are you and what do you bring to the table? If you're the weirdo, be the weirdo. You will attract the weirdos. Post that kind of everywhere. That's what post that kind of everywhere. That this is who I am. This is the way of the weirdos, and the weirdos will come. If it's that if you're the creative, attract the creative, whatever that may be. It's time to be the thing that is the main attraction, right? And so your greatest gift is the thing that is the attraction. What are people drawn to about you? So there is some sense of longing or resistance that's also coming up for the Aquarius energy. And so I get this sense of like longing for something that feels like it's missing. So outer body experiences, transcending your own thoughts, meditation, astral traveling, those type of things. If you're into that kind of, if you're interested in that kind of work, then that may be an opportunity to really discover why you were here on earth. It's losing the longing to be somewhere else so that you can fully embody being here, because this is where you were meant to be. As much as that's sometimes hard, but you're meant to be here for an experience. So you're meant to be here during these times. You're meant to be here during all of the things that are happening outside of ourselves. You're meant to be able to find yourself and let yourself be you, even though everything else is happening outside of self. And so there is this sense of deeper thoughts, deeper longing, and whatever it is that you're longing for, is that if we're longing for something for too long, we forget about the things that are right in front of us and we neglect those. So if you're in a partnership and you're so caught up in what's wrong that you can't see what's right, you may be missing out on the people that matter. And they may be noticing your lack of attention or your inability to be able to enjoy experiences or moments with the people in your life. Really is a good time that's to really, 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 they're going really, 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 really. It's really a good time to really embody spirit, to embody meditation, and I don't mean just do meditation. I mean, let it into you. Let it into you so that it can remind you of the light, to remind you of the love, to remind you of the power. And it's also the force that then moves you into being able to do the hard things, to get through the hard things, that there's always this light. So the light at the end of the tunnel is right, it's right there. And we're just so close to the light at the end of the tunnel, but it requires some serious action, some serious doing. And it can really truly require leaving that old version of you behind and really breaking free of that. And that includes having to do some of the big healing work. It's easy enough to say, I know, I know, I know. But if we're repeating and doing, we don't know. What do I not know? What am I missing? What is not there? And so there is this sense of being able to use and be aspects of yourself that are kind of sitting dormant, waiting to be used. That's what I get. So it's like having a snowblower in your garage, but you have a shovel closest to the door. So you grab the shovel and you go shovel the snow, and you shovel the snow. And when you shovel it, then you come in, you're like, I'm tired, my back hurts. But the snowblower was a little farther in and it took a little more effort, but you leave the snowblower because I can shovel. And then you say, well, I get the exercise, but yet I'm hurting. So, yeah, you might have got the exercise, but is that the kind of exercise you really need? Is that being gentle? If you have the snowblower, why wouldn't you use the snowblower? Why wouldn't you go get the snowblower? Because then you wouldn't have anything to complain about. So who would you be if you didn't have anything to complain about? So for some of my Aquarius, as you're walking around complaining, you are wondering why, maybe you may be wondering why you're not attracting or drawing people. You may be, because you may be wondering why family is not so near to you. But is it that they're away from you, or is it that you have pushed people away from you? And so I'm really reading this energy because I'm like, that sounds kind of harsh to say, but it feels like some of you have kind of pushed away love and light out of your life, like kind of pushed away the things that are important to you or were important to you. And you're kind of putting yourself on your own little island, and being very self-absorbed and self-centered. I'm going to say it. So what they're telling me is there is this element of, is not that you're self-absorbed and you're self-centered, is that you are existing in the energy of being self-absorbed and self-centered. And sometimes we have to be a little bit of that, but the balance is drastically out for some of my Aquarians. You are so caught up in the narrative. I feel like some of you may even have a victim story, or you're surrounded by people who have a victim story, one or the other. But it's like, I feel like I've got to swim. I feel like I'm trying to swim through a lot of crap. So a lot of healing in those lower energies, the root, the solar plexus, and the sacral and the solar plexus, a lot of healing in that area, because the will that you have to really truly reject and to convince yourself of everything you're doing is right, or that you have to push everyone away, or that I'm not ready for this, or I'm not. It's like you're more ready than you think. You are more loved than you think. And the problem is sometimes we're thinking things into creation because we're manifesting everything we don't want and not everything that we truly do want and truly need. And so we're moving through this energy, and you're moving through this energy, which brings us on the other side. I'm like, we just get over here, everything else will happen. So there is something that is just saying you kind of got to take some leaps of faith, or possibly take some leaps of faith, kind of jump headfirst into something. If you're someone who says, I don't like people, you're an introvert, there is an aspect of an extrovert out there when it is needed. Sometimes we got to be something. Sometimes we have told ourselves something for so long, we believe it to be true. That's pretty much our whole lives. So you're being told that you may have been saying this your whole life, but is that really my truth? And so do I really love being in here? And if you're someone who's very, loves to communicate, then obviously you may be a little more extrovert than you may be telling yourself. Or it could be vice versa. You may be an extrovert and you're like, I don't want to stay home. I don't want to, back away from this. I need to be with people. I need to be in this and I need to do that. And they're all stories. So it's really breaking free and breaking up with a lot of stories that has had a lot of hold on you as you're moving through this end of the year. And I feel like some, old truths are now becoming only half-hearted truths, or they're becoming all out lies to you. And you're recognizing something in yourself, but there is a lot of new coming in. So there's a lot of newness. It's a lot of freshness. There's a lot of new experiences, a lot of new opportunities, but it's going to be up to you whether or not you say yes to them or you reject them. So if you're someone who's been single for a long time, you're like, well, I don't want to date. I don't like to date. Well, sometimes you got to sample. And if you don't sample, how do you know? So if you don't sample, how do you know? How do you know who's the right person or where the right person will go? If you make no choice, if you go on no date, how do you find that? How do you find that right person? So sometimes you got to be more willing to put yourself out there, put yourself in that line of fire, and be present in that experience, in those moments, so that you can discover that the thing that you want the most is actually here. It is just waiting for you, and it's waiting for you to be a part of it, for you to become that willing participant, for you to step into that life. And so if it's a contract you're waiting for, it's the same thing, right? It's like starting to put yourself out there, starting to make connections, connect to people, reach out to people, do whatever it is that you need to do so that these things can begin to happen. It definitely has been a challenging, a struggling time for a lot of people to kind of, it feels like we're just kind of dragging our way through the end of the year. And so it's almost like we're waiting for the magic of 2025 to bring the change. It's not the magic of 2025 that brings the change. It's the choices that you make now that bring the change, no matter what's happening in 2025. It's the you that makes the difference to what 2025 will look like for you. So you can change. When we when we get predictions and we see things coming, this is possible, but interceptions can happen in all ways. So everything has the opportunity to be intercepted. And sometimes it's our own thoughts that we change our thought, change our path, change our way. And the things, it intercepts and breaks down. It kind of explodes and comes like a explosion that just breaks apart all of that old story, that old narrative. And it creates clarity. It creates a black hole. It creates the space for you to be able to plant in a new thought, a new way, be able to see the success, see the greatness of yourself. And so there's something that just feels explosive, is something that feels like there's a big bang. So I do feel like, and so it feels like in Aquarian energy that when we step into your time in Aquarian energy in 2025, I feel like the world is going to be having a lot happening. There's going to be a lot that's going on and a lot that's happening at the time. And it may feel noisy. It may feel there is no time to do anything, but there is always the perfect time, the perfect moment to shine, to be you. And it's right there. And it's time for you to really, truly step into that and embody it. No, shine, it doesn't mean, when we talk about shine, it has been so misconstrued that shining means becoming some sort of celebrity. That's not the truth. It's to be the best version of you for your life and to live your life, and for you to be able to embody living and what it feels like to be alive, for you to be yourself no matter where you are, for you to attract the energy and the things that align to you and not what aligns to your faith and not what aligns to your fear. Because the more you're attracting what aligns to your fear, the farther you get away from faith. It's like you have to chase things, and it's like a long stretch, and everything feels difficult and challenging. And yes, there's difficult and challenging energy, but it doesn't mean it has to be difficult and challenging for you to be able to fully embody you. So the end of the year is a lot about you. It's a lot about you. It's a whole lot about you, but it's not self-centeredness. It's being very careful of that energy. Be very careful of that energy of being self-absorbed and caught up in self. And that includes pity, complaining, victim mentality. There's a difference in being a victim and victim mentality. And and watching that coming in, be aware of that could enter and not giving it the space, but letting it just flow through. What is this teaching me? What is this telling me? What am I to learn from this experience? And so it's like, yeah, I can spend some time really connecting to self. I can make things about me, but it doesn't mean that it's that I become all about me. Is if the most beautiful version of yourself will be the things that attracts the most beautiful life. And to get to that most beautiful self is that you have to let the light shine. That's all we have for you. And I hope in some way this resonates with you for my Aquarian energy, because there is so many things that are moving through your energy. And like I said, I do feel like there is definitely a challenge. I do feel some loss coming in around there. And so that could be the loss of the old self. If I feel like if I had my tarot right with me, I'd be pulling the death card. And if you know tarot, you know the death card is not all about the death of somebody, but it is about endings. But it's also about there is the when we end the narrative for a story, or we end kind of this anxious energy, is that we finally make peace. And when we make peace, that's not the ultimate top. When we make peace, it's that we also then start to move into freedom. And when we can get into freedom, there is so much to be discovered from that place. So freedom is kind of the place. That's your destination for right now. Freedom to be you in this world and this earth, and you're here because you are meant to be here. I send you so much love. If you love these videos, please subscribe, hit the notification button, all the above, and all the information to get to any of my upcoming courses, classes. I am on the road in Newfoundland in October, so there's still tickets available to several of my events. Corner Brook and St. John's are pretty much they're almost sold out. And so, yeah, so get your tickets. I look forward to seeing you if you're in Newfoundland. I'm also in Grand Falls and Gander. So, and if you're in Alberta, I have something coming up in November the 9th in Lacombe. And keep following and watching. Subscribe to my website so that you can get all the updates of anything that will be happening, because there will be some new events being posted. And I also am working online and taking some in-person clients as well. So there's a lot just happening right now. I send you so much love. Check out everything, and much love.